Go.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Two Birds and a Third Sports Podcast. It's me and Hank here today. DJ will be probably joining us soon, but we're here again today to talk about some sports, and we got everything on the plate today. MLB, NBA, NHL, as well as the NFL leading up to the draft. Hank?
Yeah. So this episode is brought to you by more shandies because it's almost summertime. You got to take out the shandy, or how the Germans call it, the Radler. So I guess this episode is brought to you by Radlers. So before
Hank, I know you have an announcement for the YouTube listeners out there.
I do. So like I already said, I kind of already posted on there that I've been making YouTube videos on the channel that I've been making it on for I would say like somewhere around almost 10 years, and like on and off recently, but I feel like it's more marketable for our podcast if I change the name of the YouTube channel to just Two Birds and a Third, just because, we're moving in this direction of talking sports. We're moving in this direction of just merely talking about football. So I just feel like it's a direction that I want to move, and it's a direction that I think will help deploy myself and my podcast mates and my co-hosts on Two Birds and a Third to, possibly get more views and all that stuff.
Absolutely. And viewers out there and all you listening out there on the podcast, on both YouTube, Facebook, SoundCloud, whatever you guys are listening on, comment in. Let us know what you guys want to talk about. We're going to do a show coming up here where Hank and I actually want to do a little bit of Q&A kind of session via comments on YouTube and Facebook Live. We're going to do a double stream, and we want to answer some of your guys' questions about sports. Everything we do is for the listeners here. We want to reach out to you guys, and we want you guys to reach out to us. We hope that you enjoy it, and if there's topics that we didn't cover that you want to hear us cover, let us know. If there's a story that you think is really big that day and might not be penciled into what we're going to talk about, but if you comment and you say, hey, what do you guys feel about this? We're more than happy to touch on those subjects. So, Hank, I'm happy for you. I hope, this takes us in the right direction, and let's get talking sports, my man.
Right.
So we're going to start off today with the MLB, and it's still early. It's very early in the season, so there's still a lot that can happen. The A's are sitting, I think, with their last 2 wins. My notes are a couple days old from when I took them, but they were only 3.5 games back from first place. So they're not out of the woods yet. Their record was 5-7 2 days ago, which means they're now 7-7. And they're moving on up. We did have to place Kendall Graveman on a 10-day IR because of a shoulder sprain. So that's going to hurt us because he began the season as a 2-0 with a 2.00 ERA in 3 starts. So
yeah,
he's kind of on a roll there. So that's kind of going to hurt our pitching rotation. But I mean, hell, if these bats keep going at it like they have been, and Chris Crush Davis keeps just sending monsters out into the bleachers for people to catch, we can win with not the greatest pitching staff right now, but we need to make sure that we're a component-based team, and we need to make sure all of those components are firing on all cylinders. We need to make sure, so all of our guys are playing well. We brought up Bruce Maxwell. He's a catcher from AAA Nashville. We brought him up when we placed Graveman on the 10-day. So we'll see. And unfortunately, we have our shortstop Simeon joining him too because of a bruised wrist. So probably not as long, but with the throwing motion and catching and everything like that, you never know how these injuries affect baseball players.
Right. And the DJ, myself, and Kelly, we went to the A's Rangers game on Tuesday, and it was a pretty fun game. to watch. I mean, it was close at the very beginning, 0-0. It was two. It was what, 4-2 in the sixth inning. It was like the longest sixth inning ever, and then the A's won, I think 4-2. But we did some streaming during that game. It was pretty fun. I mean,
yeah. I mean, the A's, it's never crowded, but it's always a good time.
yeah. We put some pot shots out on the stadium, but it doesn't really matter. A baseball game is a baseball game, no matter where you go.
Right, no matter where you go. I always feel like baseball games are just, I understand why they're called America's pastime, because, yeah, they're long and, but I love just sitting at a baseball game, hearing the crowd around you. It's kind of, baseball is very different than any other sport, I think, because of the speed and because of the pace. Right. But, I mean, if you can appreciate kind of the art behind it, it's the only sport ever where having a 30% success rate makes you an all-star. If you're batting a 300, which means you hit 3 out of 10 pitches, right, or 3 out of 10, 3 out of 10 times you're at the plate, you get a hit. That's 30% of the time. That's going to put you in all-star territory for the year. It's kind of crazy. So if you can appreciate the art of the little success that you get makes it that much greater. I think that's one of the things that I absolutely love about baseball.
Right. So let me briefly talk about the Phillies. I didn't take as many notes as Josh did. They mostly been taking one game out of the series that they played in. They had one game against the Nationals to begin the season. I think their second win of the season possibly was they scored 12 runs in the first inning. So that was pretty exciting. But otherwise, they've mostly just been taking one game out of the series. I think they finished up with the Mets and they're playing the Braves right now. And the Mets game, they took 2 games out of that one. So I think right now the Phillies have 7 wins.
6. You guys are 6-9, 4 games back from Washington, who's leading the NL East at 10-5.
And right now we're in a close 3-2 game against Atlanta. Also, I heard that Madison Bumgarner got a BMX biking or a moto biking injury.
I was going to give this update when we moved on to the Giants, but today as of 1:30, breaking news: Madison Bumgarner is going to be on the DL for an unforeseen amount of time. A motorbike accident, so probably a dirt bike of some sort, because it happened in Colorado. So he's probably at his ranch or whatever. He's a farm boy, probably out there, and just took a spill. First to second grade shoulder sprain and bruised ribs. And I'll tell you, I've actually broken my ribs, and I've actually hurt the cartilage in between them. And I will tell you guys, rib injuries is not the business. Those things hurt. I couldn't laugh. I couldn't sneeze. You can't cough. I mean, everything you do hurts your core. And unfortunately, it's one of those injuries where you can't put a brace around it. You can't cast it up. I mean, you just got to be careful. So right. We'll see. He's a tough guy, and I also didn't have cortisone shots that people could just shoot me up with before I go out and play. So, I don't know how that would be during a game if you got a cortisone shot right before. Mm-hmm. Maybe he doesn't pitch a full, probably wouldn't pitch a full game if he was on a cortisone shot, because those things only last for a certain amount of time. But
and for anyone who doesn't know, Josh is a former wrestler, high school wrestler, and he was pretty damn good.
So I've had my fair share of injuries, and I can tell you guys that definitely the ribs is one of the worst ones to heal from, because everything else you can do physical therapy for. You break a leg, you break your ankle, you sprain it, all those kinds of things, you just kind of sit off and let it heal, get on some crutches, but there's nothing you can do for your ribs, and you're stuck every movement you do. Nothing's comfortable when you hurt those things. So we'll see. He's a tough guy.
Yeah, he's a tough guy, and he's a damn good pitcher too.
Even this year his last start didn't look that great, but he always holds it together. I think that's a very appreciated aspect of Bumgarner because we have these visions of him coming in during World Series and just shutting people down, coming back in as a reliever on short rest and just pitching, shutout innings from, what was it? The third inning on, he came in and just shut him down. So he's good, but he also, even when he has a bad day, it's not like some pitchers where they give up 5 or 6 runs. His bad day is, he'll give up 2 or 3,
And so the Giants have those pitchers like that recently. I mean, they had Tim Lincecum, and he was seemingly on top of the world until he like faded out, and then they
Cy Young Awards. Exactly. Remember, he won 2 Cy Young Awards.
Yeah, but he seemed to fade out within like 3 or 4 years. So he wasn't. He was on top of the world for like 2 or 3 years, and then he just faded out. And then they were lucky enough that they could get an ace that's probably better. I would say Bumgarner is better than Lincecum because Bumgarner can hit.
I think he is too. Yeah, he's a better all-around player. And, you also, Hank, not just Lincecum, but right now what you have sitting on your roster as a Giants fan is you have Mr. Matt Cain, who this year's been playing decently. Don't get me wrong, and I'm not a Matt Cain hater by any means, but you're paying a guy $22 million a year to basically be your 4th or 5th starter.
Yeah.
Like, they're tied up in a lot of money with him. This year, he's been decent, but it's all the throwing that these guys do nowadays. So many people having Tommy John surgery, and I think that's due to more parenting than anything. I think that's more these kids are being pushed to, Hank, back when I was growing up, it was you played a different sport every time of year. When I was in high school and middle school, I remember certain times of the year were for certain sports. Fall, I did cross country or soccer, Winter, I did wrestling. In spring, you do baseball, you do track. Every time of year, there's a different sport going on. And I feel like back in the day, we were all doing those sports. Now, parents are focusing, my kid's a really good pitcher. He's pitching year round. He's doing baseball year round. But pitching's not a natural arm motion. No, so it really wears on the ligaments and tendons in your elbow and your shoulder. So I think that might be an attributing factor to what's going on right now and with all these injuries in regards to that.
Yeah, agreed. And I think the last thing I wanted to talk about when it came to baseball are the New York Yankees.
Okay, Gosh, go ahead.
I think they had an 8-game winning streak, and they've won 9 out of their last 10 games or something like that. Something ludicrous like that. I haven't watched any of their games, but I've just been seeing updates from Yankees friends on Facebook. That's just ridiculous. 8 straight wins?
Yeah.
In baseball?
Dude, that's baseball, and that's the crazy thing. True. A team gets hot, and you are on a roll. You know what I mean? It's easy to just get going. So, good for them. I was actually just looking at the MLB standings just now, and the Yankees are half game back from Baltimore. They're sitting at 10-5, second place in the AL East. So
that's good.
It's still so early in the season. These guys play 162 games?
Yeah.
They play 162 games. A lot of time to be baseball. I remember, what was it? There was a few years ago where a team in the All-Star break had the best record, and then they missed the playoffs because they was it that?
I think it was the Mets. It was the Mets. No, I think it was the Mets. 2007, the Mets had a double-digit lead over the division, and then my Phillies ended up winning the division like last minute.
Yeah, I know that's not the only instant that kind of things happen. I've seen, it always happens in baseball. So, we'll see where baseball rolls on to, but we're going to roll on over to the Bay Area, some more Bay Area teams, and we're going to talk about some NHL as well. And I know for all my Sharks fans out there, I know last night was tough, and it was a tough late night Overtime is always taxing on players, and it's always taxing on fans, especially with the 3-1 lead going into overtime and not going anywhere from there. Hank, have you been catching up on any of the hockey playoffs going on here?
I unfortunately have not. I've just been getting updates. Well, while we were at the A's Rangers game, we got a few updates.
Yeah, I was trying to comment. But,
I mean, the Sharks had like 4 goals in the first period or something like that.
Yeah, the Sharks ended up winning 7-0 that day. And that was probably the best game I've seen of the series, the Sharks play. They just look like how Edmonton Oilers looked last night in overtime. Yeah. And I hope that doesn't piss off any Sharks fans, but the Edmonton Oilers in last night's overtime looked like they were skating with either extra men out there or the Sharks were skating with less men, because the Sharks just couldn't get their offense going at all in overtime last night. And that's how the Sharks played when they won 7-0 against the Oilers. Good thing is that we're coming back to San Jose for the next game. That crowd's going to be rocking. You're not going to be able to hear anything down at the SAP Center. Right. So it's going to be awesome. And I know one of my favorite things, and Hank, I know you don't go out downtown San Jose much, and I don't know if our listeners do, but if you guys ever get the chance to, and you're even in the San Jose area while a Sharks game is going on, especially a playoffs game, go downtown. Like, that area is so cool to be around, because even though we're all Bay Area fans, I guess the Giants now with their new stadium, but it's really hard to find a city where the sport is being played and you can go downtown and you feel like you're right there at the game. Yeah, you're surrounded by Sharks fans everywhere, and it's an incredible experience. I did it for a couple games last year as well, and it is just, oh my God, it's out of this world, guys. I think everyone should check that out at some point.
Right. I do have one thing to say about that Sharks playoff win, the 7-0 one. Some guy, some wise ass on Wikipedia. Some wise ass on Wikipedia decided to go into the Wikipedia page for famous oil spills and change the last one to the Edmonton Oilers at the SAP Center.
That is smart.
That is awesome. I love it when people do that to like Wikipedia pages, because in like academia you're not supposed to use Wikipedia. Because anyone can edit a Wikipedia page.
Yeah, which is so annoying, because for the most part, Wikipedia is really, really good about their information. That's true. But, of course, you're always going to have – it's just like everything in life, Hank. One person ruins it for all of us.
That's true.
So, I think hockey's fun. I think hockey's awesome. So far, advancing to round 2, we have the Ducks versus the winner of the Oilers or the Sharks, and the Wild or the Blues versus the Predators. So the winner of the Wild or the Blues get to play the Predators. And then in the Eastern Conference, the Penguins play the winner of the Capitals or the Maple Leafs right now. And the Capitals and Maple Leafs right now, a little NHL update for everybody right now. That game is tied 1-1. It's game 5. And the series is tied 2-2, and it's just about to start the third period. So we'll see how that goes. And you also have a Senators-Bruins update right here. 4 minutes and 7 seconds left in the second period, and the Senators are up 2-1. So we'll see. We got a couple games coming on tomorrow. The Canadiens-Rangers, the Blues-Wild, as well as the Sharks and the Oilers will be on tomorrow. So
right.
It's good. It's gonna be a good. This is my favorite time in sports, guys. This little 2-week window, 3-week window, depending on how well our teams do. We get an awesome amount of sports, and we get to cover all of them, which is awesome for me and Hank. We definitely enjoy it. So, Hank, I know that you didn't do much looking up on the NHL, so that was just a little update for everybody. You know, I'm a Sharks fan, so go Sharks. Let's eliminate these Oilers, because honestly, I think we could hand the Anaheim Ducks a pretty good fight in the next rounds if we can. So let's do it. Hank, what do you want to talk about next? We got 2 things we could cover. We could go to the NBA, and then hit a little break after that, or we can touch on the NFL and the draft coming up.
Let's go NBA first and then take a break.
Okay, so we'll hit the NBA because it's playoff time. So roll from playoff team to playoff team.
Yeah. So so Kelly and I have been watching the NBA playoffs. I think we're going to later on after the podcast is over. I think I'm leaving at around 7:10 ish to a bar to see. I think it's either OKC Houston or Golden State Portland. I'm not sure which one is going to be on, but that would totally be me not to know. It's one of those Western Conference teams, but of course we're seeing, and I get to like talk about this to my students all the time. I think one of them came up to me recently. I think it was either yesterday or today, and they're like, "Mr. Cinnamon, who's gonna win for the Western Conference and who's gonna win for the Eastern Conference?" And to me, it's likely going to be a toss-up between Golden State, Houston, or San Antonio that's going to win for the Western Conference. You have Golden State, who has a 2-0 lead over Portland. I mean, Portland, I feel like, they're the 8th seed, so they're the Cinderella story in the Western Conference. But, let's be honest here. Golden State is going to go to the Western Conference Finals. And I don't even know that much about basketball, but I can probably tell you that for a fact. They are,
I would completely agree because I'm looking at the playoff bracket right now. We got a 2-0 lead, and we are going against the winner of the LA Clippers Utah Jazz. So that's who we would be playing next. Exactly. I think we can definitely handle either of those teams.
Yeah.
I am kind of having a laugh right now, Hank, and I don't mean to laugh at people's expense, but when people bring it upon themselves because of their negative attitude and how they just always sulk around, and even though we give them high accolades, like everyone's calling him the MVP, and he's broken the triple-double record. Right. Russell Westbrook is imploding the OKC Thunder. This guy is, I hate to say it, as gifted and as talented as he is, you can't play with a person like that. The other day, when he broke the triple-double points record for an NBA finals or an NBA playoff game, they lost. And you know why? Because he took 48 shots in that game. Yeah.
And he also doesn't have a good attitude either.
No, and that's what I mean. That's the negative sulking around. He always just kind of, it's like, dude, I'm never going to feel sorry for you. You have all the talent in the world. You have everything set in front of you. And all you have to do is be positive, and everything will go your way. Even Michael Jordan was a hard ass. I know
he was. He was a ball hog. Like
you say that, everyone, and the big thing is he's like, you guys all called me a ball hog, and then the next year I led the league in assists.
Exactly.
Like, that's the thing, is that maybe Russell Westbrook will,
blossom.
Think that and turn it around. But
also you have to understand that there's nobody on his. He's by far the best player on his team. What they lost, Kevin Durant is on Golden State, right?
Yeah. But Hank. But even if here's the thing, no one's going to get better or get in a rhythm in a game if KD's taking 48 shots a game.
Yeah. That's true.
If KD's taking that many shots a game, no one on his team, first of all, no one else is going to be noticed because they can't be, because they're always just told to pass the ball to Russell Westbrook. And then, it would be tough. As a teammate, I would be pretty upset because Michael Jordan might have been called a quote-unquote ball hog, but he still moved the ball around well. It's just
he also took
the shot. Like, he took the shot a lot. That's the thing, is that, but he would move the ball around, and then if he felt like he had the shot, he took it. Steph Curry does the same thing. We don't think about it as much, but the way Curry, he just drains shots all the time, and you'd be like, if it was Jordan, you'd be like, look at this ball hog, but for some reason we don't call that Steph Curry that, and I think it's because Klay Thompson and KD put up monster numbers as well, so you can't call him a ball hog when everyone else is putting up good numbers as well.
Jordan also had Pippen, and he had
Kerr.
Rodman and Kerr, So he had a talented group around him. He had a good supporting cast,
just like Curry does. Yeah. But I don't think Westbrook has. I mean, who knows?
He doesn't have the supporting cast that all these other guys had. Even a Kobe Bryant too. You know.
Yeah. I mean, Kobe had like Shaq at one point, and he always Gasol, and in his prime, and yeah. So I mean, I get it. It's just I just feel like I almost can't feel bad for the guy because his attitude's so negative that no wonder no other player, big name player, wants to go play in Oklahoma, dude. Well, first of all, it's Oklahoma. I mean, no offense to anybody in Oklahoma. I'm sure it's beautiful there. I've never actually been, but if you're trying to draw a player to Oklahoma, you have to do it on your teammanship. You have to be a good teammate because you're not going to be able to draw people like we can draw them to California and be like, look at the weather. It's California. Or like, the Knicks can be like, you're in New York City. Even the Nets can be like, you're so close to New York City. The Heat are right in, all these other places have all these draws to them.
Yeah.
But if you're not a good team player, and literally without you, who knows what the team would be? I don't know what the team would be without Westbrook, but I don't feel bad for the guy because he's a bad teammate. So,
all right. So you want me to move on?
Yeah. Sorry, Hank.
I guess no worries. It was good commentary. Anyway, I mean, Cleveland is pummeling Indiana.
Yeah, they came back from 25 points last night.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then the other story is the Boston versus Chicago story, and what's his name lost his sister on Boston. What's his name? Hold on, the Celtics player who if anyone's in the chat can tell me. Most embarrassing. It was Isaiah Thomas. I guess that's what they're saying. His sister died. I forgot how she died, but regardless, it's upsetting when something like that happens. And they actually showed him on, like, during the pregame, like, crying in front of, like, there wasn't really a crowd in there, but it was in front of the media, and they were commenting on it, like Shaq and Charles Barkley were commenting on it. To me, in all honesty, like, I don't know, that's just really sad to do to a guy who's lost a family member and might be playing in a game. It's like, that's something that you just need to say in passing because the guy probably wants his privacy,
What'd they say?
Oh, I mean, well, Charles Barkley and Shaq were like, I don't think that he needs to play in that game. They were like, he needs to play with his family. When they described that when you have a loss like that, a family member, like, they questioned the other team's motivation because, I mean, these are guys that feel bad for him. These are guys that went over to him and offered their condolences, and now they're playing a game, So
yeah, but I mean, other players have done it. Hank Brett Favre had the game of his life against Oakland,
and Isaiah Thomas did play very well in the game, regardless.
And everyone handles grief differently, dude. Like, I'm we won't get too much into this, but some people just especially when you're in a sports setting, like sometimes that transcends like everything else, and like sometimes that's your way of release. You know what I mean? Like, who knows? Like, everyone's different, dude. Like, I could just see somebody just being like, you know what, like they loved that I did this. I love that I do this. They always supported me doing this. I need to go out there and do this kind of thing, you know. It's last homage, if you may call it. Who knows what he was thinking, but it was sad. Yeah, regardless, that's sad.
Mm-hmm. It is. And otherwise the Bulls have been manhandling Boston. I think it was a 2-0 lead. I think
Boston's about to win this one by looks like almost 20 points, 17 right now with 10 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Yeah. Boston's up 104-87.
Yeah, I mean, like the series before, like up until right now. Yeah. So okay, so we're gonna see the Houston OKC game, but yeah, it's just it's a sad thing when that happens to a player in the league, and you know you feel bad for him, but you have to understand that he's a grown man and he'll take care of himself and he'll take the necessary steps. The team will take the necessary steps so that
he can grieve how he needs to. Obviously, I'm sure right now they're not going to make him come to practice. You know what I mean? Like, go be with your family, that kind of thing. So
I think he buried his sister sometime early in the week.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and everyone, like we said, we're not getting too deep into it, but everyone handles it differently, and I feel like if you're an athlete, if you've ever been on a sports team, listeners out there, I'm sure you understand, that there's camaraderie on your team, and sometimes those people are a lot of times they're your extended family. When I'm still friends with almost all the guys that I wrestled with throughout middle school and high school. I could probably see any of them, and I would be just as joyed to see them as I was in high school, even now, 10 years removed from it. So,
right.
Yeah, so I mean, sometimes being around your team is the best medicine for going through a loss.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So we'll see how they continue through the series. The Boston just took a step in the right direction to at least make it interesting.
Exactly.
It's now 2-1, and they have another game to play in Chicago, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking before this game, the team that was probably going to contend the most with Cleveland in the Eastern Conference Finals was probably going to be the Bulls until Boston showed some life.
Yeah, Boston's number one. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens. Toronto Raptors might put up a good fight.
Yeah, they could too.
The Milwaukee Bucks lead that series 2-1 right now. Game 4.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, all right.
Yeah.
So, do you want to take a break?
Yeah. Why don't we take a quick 5-minute break from the feed?
Okay. Or do you want me to keep the feed on, and just have us talk about other stuff right now?
That's fine. Don't matter about it.
Okay. So yeah. How's do you want to discuss a sports topic or something else? Hello? That's embarrassing. So yeah, just sitting here. Anybody in the chat? Oh, let's call me back. How's it going?
Hey, Hank. Sorry, I lost you there.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know what happened. All of a sudden my thing just kind of beeped at me, and then I couldn't hear anything, and it cut out.
Okay.
Sorry for the technical difficulties, listeners out there. Has anybody asked any questions? That's what I was going to ask you.
No.
No?
Not yet. But what do you want to talk about during this 5-minute break?
What do you want to talk about, Hank? Have you seen the new movie Logan?
Yeah, I did.
What'd you think of it?
It was amazing.
We'll do a little movie. We'll do a little movie recap in between these breaks. We can touch on some movie stuff.
All right. No, I liked it. I really liked it. It was I think Kelly was, I guess she was working on a Saturday, and I just went.
Nice. Yeah, I went and saw it with Lisa. She, I've turned her into a kind of a little comic. She's not a geek by any means, but she's definitely into it now. So I don't know if any of our listeners out there, or if you're kind of a comic book nerd, Hank, but I definitely love DC and Marvel. So I'm excited for all the superhero movies coming out this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as big of a superhero fan, but I like Spider-Man. I like Spider-Man. I like the first incarnation of Spider-Man.
Tobey
Maguire's Spider-Man.
I didn't, but that's a whole different story. No, everyone has their preferences.
It is. I also pirated, watched illegally. For all you people at home, don't do that. The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie.
Oh, nice. The old school one?
No, the new one.
Oh, nice.
They made they rebooted.
Is that movie out in theaters?
I'm pretty sure it is still.
Nice. I haven't seen it yet. How is it?
It was better than I thought. The only issues that I had with it, because I've told you a million times that I'm not a big fan of reboots.
Right.
And that the movie basically is a rebooted movie.
Right.
So the ethnicities of the characters aren't always the same. I mean, I don't mean to be like a racist person, but I actually didn't know this before I saw the movie. I actually looked into it. But how Bryan Cranston, Bryan Cranston, right?
No. Enlighten me.
The actor.
No, enlighten me.
Okay.
Who is he?
Are you being sarcastic?
No, I don't know who he is. Enlighten me. I have no idea who
Bryan Cranston, the actor.
No, I know, but what else has he been in?
He used to voice the monsters, or a few monsters on the Power Rangers, and they named the the nerdy guy after him, Billy Cranston.
Oh, okay.
So in the new movie, Billy is African American.
Okay. The black guy.
His name is.
You can say he's a black guy, Hank.
Okay, fine. But his name is Billy Cranston.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you something. I don't know any black guys whose last name is Cranston.
Well, you also probably don't know that many black guys, Hank. No offense.
No, I do. I'm from New Jersey.
Oh yeah, that's right. You are from New Jersey.
But at the same time, the Black Ranger is an Asian guy, and his name is Zach Taylor.
Okay, but Hank, here's the thing. You also have to realize that everyone made fun of the old Power Rangers for racially profiling and...
But let me tell you something, Josh. I did research on this, okay? Apparently, the actor who played the original Black Ranger, his name was Walter Emmanuel Jones.
Okay.
Okay? He originally was casted to be the Blue Ranger.
Okay.
Until he went to them and said, I want to be the Black Ranger. So he became the Black Ranger. And
because he wanted to be the Black Ranger.
Most of the things that was on the show and he was able to do, that was improvised by him. The Black Ranger originally wasn't supposed to be a dancer, but because he was a dancer and he had legitimate dance moves, that's what he did. Not to mention, originally, the Yellow Ranger, who was Trini,
was a guy. I know. You told me this, Hank, and I've watched the videos on your YouTube.
That's the
so I know that, but at the same time, you can't blame everyone else who watched it saying like, wow, the Black Ranger's a black guy and the Yellow Ranger's an Asian girl.
I know, but the Yellow Ranger in the pilot
is a guy.
No, was a girl, and she was a Latina girl, and she wanted more money, so the next person in line was the late Tui Trang, and she became the Yellow Ranger. You know what I'm saying?
God. So it was all happenstance. It was all happenstance it ended up being completely and utterly inappropriate.
Yeah, but then of course, 2 years later, Walter Emmanuel Jones, Tui Trang, and Austin St. John, they all wanted more money, so all three of them refused to show up to the looping sessions, and all three of them were fired from the show, and the Black Ranger became an Asian guy, and the Yellow Ranger became a black girl.
Okay.
So, but otherwise, it was a decent movie. The main villain, Rita Repulsa, she ended up looking like Poison Ivy.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, where's the old lady with pointy boobs and that weird hat and staff? Where is she? It's like they must have been thinking about Uma Thurman while creating that character. But I like the suits. I like Bryan Cranston being Zordon. I mean, I like the fact that they had that once they got the powers, they could be powerful outside of costume. Like there was one scene where the Blue Ranger he got picked on the most because he was the nerdy guy, and like one of the bullies came up to him and tried to like put their hands on him, and he kind of like tapped them on the forehead, and he like fell over. You know what I'm saying? Because he had like what Spider-Man-esque superpowers. I think that's where they got that from. When the Red Ranger wakes up after getting the powers, and he totally like bashes the crap out of his sink and like totally destroys the porcelain. Like he wakes up and he looks at himself and he's got abs like Tobey Maguire did in Spider-Man.
That's a mix. That's a steal from both Spider-Man and X-Men Origins Wolverine.
That's true.
When he first gets his claws and he's hiding out in the old people's house.
Yeah.
He extends his claws and slices up their sink. Yeah.
And he's like, I got abs? Wait a second. I've always had abs.
Yeah.
All right. So do you want to go back to the
Let's talk about some football, dude.
About football. That's what I wake up every morning for.
Gosh, it's like, okay, so it's almost bad because I get 17 weeks of it a year of regular season.
Right.
And I want every single one of those weeks to last forever.
Right.
I mean,
until you find out and realize that your team's not doing as well, like possibly DJ, and you're wishing the season never started in the first place.
Yeah.
I mean, exactly. We've all been there. We've all had bad seasons.
Yeah, he's a Browns fan, so he's had a lot of bad seasons, and I'm as weird as it is, I'm kind of a Raiders fan, as you know, Hank.
Yeah.
Because via my dad, I mean, most of the games I went to as a kid, I've actually never been to a Baltimore Ravens game because we moved out, like, I think the year after, I think we moved out to California in 96.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the year that they went. Yeah, the year that they went to Baltimore, we moved out. So I never got to see. I've never seen a Ravens game.
But you've been to countless Ravens games.
I've been to Ravens games. Whenever the Ravens play the Niners or the Raiders, I always go to their games. Whenever they're in the Bay Area, I always go. Right. Which means, of course, this year I am going to the Raiders-Ravens game, Week 5 in Oakland.
I think Kelly's either thinking about going to the Cowboys-Raiders game or the Niners-Raiders game. She's just not sure which game is going to be cheaper. I keep telling her to go to the Raiders game because I think the Raiders tickets will be cheaper. Whose tickets do you think will be cheaper, the Niners tickets or the Raiders tickets? Because the Niners tickets are always expensive.
here's the thing. It's going to be one of those weird things. They play the Raiders later in the year, I'm pretty sure. Let me check it out. I can actually pull it up right now because I was just looking at it.
Yeah.
The Raiders play later in the year, and the Niners play earlier in the year, which means the Niners will probably be cheaper to go see.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, yeah. Because I'm pretty sure that the Raiders are – it's one of, like, the last games I'm pretty sure the Raiders play is against the Cowboys.
No, one of the last games the Raiders play is against the Eagles.
Hank, I'm talking about the last, like, 3 or 4 games, the last quarter.
So you think the Niners game is going to be cheaper because it's going to be at the beginning of the season? Because I keep telling her that the Niners are going to be okay.
Well, and here's the thing, Hank. The better and better the Raiders do this year, the more expensive tickets get going on. So if it's a later season game, it's going to be more expensive.
Right. Do you want to go through your team's schedule and pick wins and losses, possibly, or do you want to do that in a later episode?
We could do that, Hank. If you want to finish the show with that, I was gonna throw that idea out there, but now that you threw it out, and Hank, the Raiders play the Cowboys. It looks like towards the end, it looks like they only have. Yeah, it's the third to last game.
Gotcha. Yeah, they play the Eagles Christmas Eve on Christmas Day.
Yeah, then they play the Eagles, and then they finish out against the Chargers. The Cowboys are sandwiched right between the Raiders against the Chiefs, and then against the Eagles, and then so it goes Chiefs. We'll go through the start. They start off with the broken leg bowl, Marcus Mariota and Derek Carr broken leg bowl.
Yeah.
See who healed better. And then it looks like they go face the Jets after that, then the Redskins, then we're going to Denver, and then they get to play at home against the Ravens in week 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's Chargers, and then Chiefs, Buffalo Bills, Miami Dolphins, Patriots in Mexico City, Denver, New York Giants, Chiefs, Dallas Cowboys, Denver, and that can't be Denver. Philly, then Chargers. Yeah. Cowboys, Phillies, Chargers.
Yeah.
Hank, why don't you start off with your team?
Okay, so I didn't predict the first game of the season, but I did predict the first game of the season for the Cowboys and the Giants. I knew that would be a Cowboys-Giants game to begin the season for both of them. We've got the Redskins first, who we struggle our asses off against the Redskins. We can just never. We haven't beaten them in maybe 2.5 calendar years. I have no idea, but it's just ridiculous. We can't beat them. It's like how we play against the Giants. They just play to beat us, and against the Giants, we just play to beat them. But we play the Redskins, and then we play the Chiefs. Both road games back to back, and that's gonna be tough. I could see us possibly going 0-2 right there. The best case scenario is going 2-1, Redskins, Chiefs, Giants, but I don't even know if that's gonna happen. I don't think we're gonna beat the Chiefs in Kansas City. That's just, to me, like a loss. The Eagles will be lucky to end up 8-8 or 7-9 this season, just because of our schedule.
You think so? Even with your boy Nick Foles back in the fold?
My man crush back in the fold. Who knows? But we have some easy games. We have some teams that we can beat. I don't think the NFC West is as tough as it used to be. So luckily you're going into that with the mentality that you could go out 3-1 in that division. You're not beating Seattle in Seattle, so that's not happening. But I mean, we play Seattle and the Rams back-to-back. Seattle, Rams, and Giants back-to-back road games in early December. So that's going to be tough. I see the Eagles. I think we can beat the Redskins, the Giants, and the Cowboys once. I think they can beat the Cardinals, the 49ers, and the Rams. And I think that it's plausible that they take one from either the Broncos, the Chargers, or the Raiders. Because I don't think they're not beating the Chiefs in Kansas City. That's just not happening. And it's going to be really hard for them to beat the Chargers too, because they don't play well against the Chargers. So I think it's going to be somewhere between 7-9 and 9-7. In all honesty.
Okay, well, I mean, we'll see. It's one of those. You never know with the NFL too, Hank. Like, you guys could just take off.
That's true. You never know. You never know, but at the same time, this isn't a team like the Patriots. I feel like a lot of Eagles fans see it as, this is like the New England Patriots, where, we could win. We're probably going to win any week of the season. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen with us. It's not 2000. It's not 2001 to 2004 anymore, where you're winning like 4/5 of all your games, or maybe more, maybe 8/10 of all your games, which is 4/5 as well. So, but I don't know. They could take off. They could do well. It all has to do with. I think Josh just dropped out. I think it all has to do with. Let me call him again. I think it all has to do with the fact that you have.
Hi, Hank.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
You dropped out.
We're having technical difficulties. I'm sorry, listeners out there. I just got a new phone, so it's cutting out on me because I'm trying to learn how to work the Wi-Fi and everything on it.
No, I just think that it all depends on whether Carson Wentz can play quarterback well, or our receivers are catching passes, our line stays healthy, both lines stay healthy, we have a good draft, the defensive backfield stays intact. It all has to do with that, basically.
Yeah. I mean, are you guys excited for the draft? What do you guys want to do in the draft?
Well, I'm not exactly sure. Like, I don't think there's a real way they can mess up. I want Corey Davis if he's on the board. He's the best player available. I think that drafting him, if he's on the board, is the top priority. I wanted Reuben Foster, but it looks like he won't get drafted until much later on because of his drug thing.
Because of his quote unquote drugs. He just smokes some pot.
His diluted, yeah. I say drugs very loosely. His diluted test. But I mean, if Humphrey's there, you take him. If Corey Davis is there, you take him. And otherwise, a lot of commentators are saying the Eagles are going to take Conley from the Ohio State as well. But I don't see him as being. There are a lot of really good players who are worth like a top 10 pick, and then there are players who are worth like 20 and back, So if they're not there, I foresee the Eagles just trading back, try to get another second round draft pick. Would be great.
Okay.
But I want corner in the second round. I want that as
a priority in the second.
A Zooey guy from Colorado.
It's so
Shibuki Azui.
Cornerback's so deep in the draft this year. Yeah. I think you can honestly probably get a pretty good starting cornerback through the first 2 to 3 rounds. I'm pretty sure. Early third round, you can probably still get a starter out of this cornerback draft.
I also know a lot of Eagles fans who want Dalvin Cook and Christian McCaffrey. It's just tough for me because I have my own. It's the same thing as Howard from Alabama. I just have a bias against running backs and tight ends in the draft because growing up, you rarely ever see running backs in the first round doing well besides like Adrian Peterson and Ezekiel Elliott. Was Le'Veon Bell drafted in the first round?
No. Le'Veon Bell was like a 4th-round pick, I thought.
So, yeah. I mean, I just fear drafting a guy in the first round, a running back like that, and possibly playing 5 years for you. It's just not something that I want. And I always, when it comes to tight end, I always flash back to that. Who is that tight end that was picked by the Jaguars in like 2000 or 2005? Who got caught with like marijuana and his career fizzled. He was like a white guy. I always forget. He had like blonde, like long blonde hair. I always forget what his name was. But at the same time, you see tight ends in the first round, and they're not all that. But everyone's always telling me, "Oh, these guys are must pick guys," And then they'll say it with McCaffrey too, which I'd rather pick McCaffrey in the first round than Cook. That's just my personal opinion. But I don't think any of them are I don't think any of them are as good as Leonard Fournette. Like, he's the beast. He is like the Ezekiel Elliott of the draft.
Well, and you also have to realize, like, how is he going to... Well, he has to fit your scheme, though. That's the thing. I don't think he's just a plug... He might be a plug and play. Who knows? But I feel like you need... He fits better in, like, a power scheme than would in, like, a West Coast offense. You know what I mean? I don't think he wants to run out of shotgun a lot.
No, I don't think so either. But at the same time, if they picked Cook or they picked McCaffrey, I wouldn't like completely lose it. But I'd be like, if Corey Davis is on the board and those guys get picked, one of those guys get picked and he doesn't, I'm gonna be a bit disappointed.
Yeah. I hope we get Corey Davis.
Yeah. If we don't get Corey Davis, if we don't get Corey Davis, there are some really good wide receivers in the third round. Unfortunately, we don't have as high of a third round pick because, of course, we
traded
our third round pick to Josh's Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, exactly. So, we'll see how the season goes, Hank. You don't know how teams are going to come out of the gate, and that brings me to my first game of the season for the Ravens. Is finally, after having to play at Cincinnati the last 2 years to end our season, Week 17 at Cincinnati, where we play historically bad at, we get to start the season at Cincinnati. So we get that out of the way. A lot of the pundits have us losing that game. I actually think that the Bengals are going to be the most dysfunctional team going forward out of all the major playoff teams recently because they lost what got them there. Hugh Jackson.
Yeah.
As much as people won't admit it and they think Marvin Lewis is just going to rally this team, I don't think he is. I don't think they have. AJ Green is by far their best player, and they have a few good defenders, As much as I don't like him perfect, he still plays really smart.
He's just a douche.
He's a douche, and he's a dirty player, but he plays really good football. Like, that's the thing that sucks, is he's a great football player. Geno Atkins, one of my favorite defensive linemen, he plays for them.
Carlos Dunlap.
Carlos Dunlap. I think they have some good parts. I think aside, you can't just throw the ball to AJ Green all the time. Yeah. And here's the thing: you lost what made AJ Green such a threat, which was Hugh Jackson, because he knew how to put him in the best situations. So, anyways, I think the Ravens are actually going to beat the Bengals that game because I think the Bengals are going to be actually in the back of the division pretty soon, and I think the Browns are going to overtake them because of Hugh Jackson.
Do you think the Browns will blow the draft?
No, I think they're going to take Myles Garrett, and I think what pundits are saying, I don't always believe them but my opinion is that I don't think the Browns should take a quarterback in the first round, regardless of who it is, because no one's worthy of it this year. That's my opinion. I think that you should get two. You're gonna get Garrett with the first pick. Don't fuck that up. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Not safe for work. Don't mess that up. That would literally, I'm sorry that I did that, but that's how angry it makes me. Do not do that. Please. Yeah. Like, that would make me so mad if the Browns did.
Not to mention they have Brock Osweiler and they're paying him a crap ton of money. Why not let him be the starting quarterback?
I mean, or you can, you can always just drop him. I think they just bought a second-round draft pick, Moneyball style. I think they literally just paid. They bought his salary, $16 million 1 year. They paid $16 million for a second-round pick.
Yeah.
I think that's what they did because they're trying to stockpile picks right now and get people who are good. And that's what I think they should do with their second pick. Or even if you guys really want to stockpile your picks, pick Myles Garrett first. When the 12th pick comes around, trade it back 5 spots, whatever. Let somebody jump up who really, really wants someone because you're so loaded with picks. You could get an all-star rookie team out of this draft. Oh, excuse me, guys. Sorry, that's my guard dogs defending me. Moving on, I think, perfect segue. The Browns better. We play them after Cincinnati at home, though. So I think the Ravens are obviously going to win that. It's the Browns. Let's just say the Ravens have the best record against the Browns of anyone. So, and then week 3, we actually go to London to play the worst team in the NFL over a 6-year span, and that is even worse than the Browns people.
The Jaguars.
Jaguars in London. I think we win that game.
That's got to be cruddy. You're going to have to wake up to watch that game.
Yeah, that's going to be tough for me. I'm literally going to be watching football, everybody, at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I'm so glad that playing in London just sucks. Imagine if there was a team there. All right, keep going.
So I think we'll win that game though. But then the first game I think we lose in the season. This is going to be a tough one. Depending on, I think the Ravens could win this next one. I believe that they can. It's week 4, Pittsburgh in Baltimore. And
I think the Ravens have that one.
I think the Ravens know how to stop Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown at this point, and especially getting Tony Jefferson. We'll see how the draft plays out for us in terms of we need an inside linebacker. We'll see. But I think you're right, Hank. I think right now the Ravens are 4-0, and as much as I hate to say it, the Ravens are going to come to Oakland, and I'm going to watch them lose to Oakland for the last time in the black hole.
Yeah, I think that's. Yeah.
I think the Ravens just, I don't know what it is about Derek Carr, but they cannot stop Derek Carr.
Yeah. I agree.
So
it's 4-1.
So yeah, we're at week 5. I think that's the first loss. So we're 4-1. Next week, I think we're gonna win because we're playing at home against the Chicago Bears and Glennon.
If he's still the quarterback at that point.
If he's still the quarterback, but yeah, right now I'm chalking that up as a win. So we're 5-1 versus the Chicago Bears in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
Week 7, we go to Minnesota. The pundits have it as a loss. Most people think that the Ravens are going to lose to Minnesota. Minnesota's a dang good defense, but the Ravens have a dang good defense, and I think the Ravens offense can do better against the Vikings defense than the Vikings offense can do better against the Ravens defense. Because remember, you don't have Adrian Peterson.
Yeah. But
and the Ravens
they didn't have Adrian Peterson last year.
And the Ravens now, with who they picked up, have one of the best secondaries in the NFL. On paper, I get that, on paper. But if Jimmy Smith can stay healthy, which he's proven he wants to do because he actually spent the entire offseason in Owings Mills, Maryland, working on his conditioning and his strength there with the strength and conditioning coach for the Ravens. Because you can't meet with your coach to go over things, but you can go to the facility and work there. So
imagine if the Vikings drafted Joe Mixon.
They could.
I know they have Latavius Murray, but what if they drafted Joe Mixon? to replace Adrian Peterson, who also went to the University of Oklahoma.
And do a 1-2 punch with Latavius and Mixon.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, obviously, Hank, we're doing this early because we don't even know who people are getting in the draft. And now we're talking about who's going to win at week 7. But this is just for fun.
Right.
This is just for fun. So we'll see. But I have that as actually a win. So I think right now the Ravens have one loss against the Raiders, and they're going into week 8. So I have the Ravens at 7-1, 6-1, 6-1.
Yeah.
And then I think I'm going to put them at 7-1 because I think they can beat the Miami Dolphins. Joe Flacco has owned the Dolphins over his career.
Haven't they only lost to them like once?
He averaged. I don't think he's ever lost to the. I think he's beat the Dolphins in every game they've played, including playoffs, and his passer rating is like 109 against the Dolphins.
Let me check that. Keep going. Let me check that.
Next week, I think the Ravens lose because they're going against a team that I think is up and coming in the AFC South, and that is the Tennessee Titans. I think we'll hand the Ravens the second loss of the year. Because the Tennessee Titans, I think they're a good team. And I think last year they showed, even though they didn't go as far, I think they really showed that they have the potential to be a really good team and a formidable opponent in the AFC South because as good as Andrew Luck is, one person does not win you games.
Yeah, that's true.
As good as he is, and he doesn't have Tom Brady's great because Tom Brady's always been made sure to have a pretty good offensive line around him. For most of his career, he's had a pretty good offensive line protecting him. Andrew Luck has nothing out there. He's gonna be the next David Carr if they keep going the way they're going.
I mean, he does have good receivers.
I
mean, he does have Tyrell Youngster,
aka my boy Tyrell.
T.Y. Hilton, and who they have? Don't they have a guy named? They have Moncrief, aka Dante Moncrief.
They have Dante Moncrief.
Don't they have a guy named Dobson on their team?
And they just picked up Kamar Earth-shaking, no faking, world bacon aching.
Bacon aching. Yes.
Yeah, dude. They just picked him up, signed him as a free agent. So I think, but anyways, back to the schedule. I think that the Ravens are going to lose to the Tennessee Titans in week 9.
Uh-huh.
I think that, and then we get our bye. Week 10 is our bye.
Right.
So what are we right now, Hank? 8-2?
I think so. You said a loss against the Raiders and a loss against the Titans.
Coming into week 11, yeah.
Yeah.
With a bye thrown in there.
And you also said the pundits say you're going to lose to the Vikings, but you're not.
But I think we're going to win.
That.
I think we're going to – I disagree with the pundits on the starting in Cincy because I think the Ravens are ready to go and Cincy's falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
And then I disagree with the Vikings because I think the Ravens' defense is a little bit underrated right now. Right. Even though they finished with the top 7 defense in the NFL last year, they were actually number 1, but then they had to play the Steelers and the Patriots back-to-back weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be tough for anyone, That's a tough way to end the season. You play the Steelers, the Patriots, and then at Cincinnati in Week 17.
Mm-hmm.
Tough to go.
Gotcha.
So, and then coming back in Week 11, the Green Bay Packers, I think that the Ravens are going to lose that because, well, it's Aaron.
Is it in Green Bay?
It's in Green Bay.
Okay.
It's at Green Bay.
You're gonna lose that game.
Yeah, we're gonna lose that game. And watch this, everybody. I'm predicting Aaron to maybe play the Ravens in the Super Bowl because he just broke up with Olivia Munn, so possibly the curse has lifted.
Aaron Balaki.
Yeah, so we'll see. But after that, sorry, I lost my spot here. Sorry, guys. After that, the Ravens play their first home Monday night game in 5 years.
Wow.
Against the Houston Texans. And I think the Ravens, because the Ravens actually traditionally do really, really well in primetime. That's why the Ravens often get primetime spots. So I think the Ravens will beat the Texans, especially if Tom Savage is their quarterback. But we'll see. We'll see. I have the Ravens winning the Texans, and then the Ravens versus Detroit staying at home 2 games in a row. After losing to the Green Bay Packers, we get 2 home games. Mm-hmm. And I think they beat the Lions in Baltimore. Mm-hmm. And then week 14, we go to Pittsburgh, and I think we lose that game.
You're gonna lose that. You're gonna lose the game in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh's gonna lose the game in Baltimore.
Yeah. So right now we're hanging out with only 4 losses, and we're going. So we're 10-4. Then I think the next game we win because it's at Cleveland, and once again it's Cleveland.
Beat Cleveland.
This is the hardest one for me to call. Ravens versus the Colts
in Indianapolis.
No, in Baltimore.
You think it might be a trap game at that point in time? You think the Colts might? You think the Colts might be petering?
So late in the season, yeah. If the Colts are still bad, then I obviously think the Ravens are going to win. But also, they could just pull it off.
Yeah, the Colts are kind of like the Eagles in my personal standpoint because they could be anywhere between 7-9 and 9-7. You know?
Right. Exactly. They're one of those right in between teams, depending on which way it swings, and you know.
And that could be the game that lifts them to a 9-7. If they win?
Yeah, you know, who knows? That could be the game that lifts them to a 9-7 instead of an 8-8, you know. Whatever. But after that, we go so that's week 16, and then I'd say the Ravens win that regardless. I think the Ravens will step up because it's at home.
I think they'll win too.
They have the last 2 games are at home. So we go to Cleveland. I think we win the last 3 games of the season because it goes Cleveland, Indianapolis at home, and then Cincy. And once again, like I said, I think Cincy's on the decline in Baltimore. I think Baltimore's going to get revenge for having to go to Cincy and get their butts kicked at the end of the last 2 seasons. And I think they're going to, when Cincy comes to us, I think the Ravens are going to put a stamp and show everyone Cincy's nothing without Hugh Jackson. That's my call. Ravens lose 4 games. They go 12-4.
So I'm saying 12-4 at best. 10-6 at worst.
Yeah, I think the Ravens are going to go 10-6 at worst, 12-4 at best. Okay. That is my call, but I'm calling 12-4.
Okay. So I have the Eagles going 7-9 at worst, 9-7 at best, and Josh has the Ravens going 10-6 at worst, 12-4 at best. And the reason why I have the Eagles going like not as good is because we're still a rebuilding team. You know, we still need to draft pieces. We still need a whole nother draft before we start getting playoff competitive. I mean, we're competitive now, but we want to get playoff competitive. And our division is, I think we have one of the toughest divisions in football right now, the NFC East. Because now, potentially,
you guys and the AFC West is really good right now.
Yeah.
But you and the AFC West are definitely 2 of the toughest divisions.
It's just any of those teams could compete, barring injury. I mean, of course, if Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott get injured, or Eli Manning and Odell Beckham get injured, you could potentially see the Eagles and the Redskins competing for the division, you know, where the Redskins and the Eagles are still second-tier teams in that division, you know.
Yeah. That division is always tough.
We need a whole nother draft before we even think about, like, partying it with the big boys, you know.
Competing in the
Yeah.
Yeah, competing in the playoffs. Well, I know you got to go. I know we got to run, but thank you guys for listening. That was a good hour-long show. But Hank, I got one more hot take. Okay. I think this is the year that the AFC North falls off from being like a dominant division because I think the Bengals and the Browns are in transition of like switching places. So I think the Bengals and the Browns are both going to be kind of sub. I think both of them may win 6 or 7 games. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I feel bad. I feel bad.
Combined, but both of them are. Each team's going to get maybe 6 or 7 wins individually. I think that's going to be the limit for both of those guys this year.
Yeah, I feel bad for Andy Dalton.
Dude, he lost the best thing that he could have ever had in the NFL.
Yeah,
because he's not going to be a Tom Brady or Ben Roethlisberger or Phillip Rivers. He needed Hugh Jackson to really break down plays and make him excel. And I think the Browns, that's why they're going to trade spots, because Hugh Jackson's going to make when the Raiders had the worst stretch of their franchise history, these last 14 years, in the middle of it, the only time we didn't have a losing record, Hugh Jackson brought us from nothing to an 8-8 record, and then they fired him, let him go.
Yeah.
So.
I just don't. I just feel bad for the guy because it's clearly not Andy Dalton's fault. Andy Dalton can play competitive football with the best. You know what I'm saying? He can play with the best of them, and he's shown that he can be talented, and he's shown that he can make it to the next level. But the issue is they're always in this coordinator coaching carousel where they're not able to retain their guy. I mean, Zimmer was there, Gruden was there, Hugh Jackson was there. I mean, it's tough. It's tough when you're losing coaches every season, and the Ravens can definitely speak on that because, I mean, your best season in the last 5 years when you had Gary Kubiak, you guys were amazing.
Hey, you know Gary Kubiak won 2 Super Bowls in 2 years apart?
What's up? Yeah, he did. That's right.
Because he won with one with the Ravens, and then he went to head coach the Broncos and won one with them.
Dang. No,
that's funny.
He won one with the Ravens?
Didn't the Ravens win the Super Bowl?
No, he was the head coach of the Houston Texans.
Oh,
so
that's
never
right.
Won
that's
a Super
right.
Bowl with them.
Who'd they win with in 2012?
They lost Cam Cameron, and they paid Juan Castillo to be their offensive quality control coach, and they won it with him. You guys were in a stretch of a bad area with Cam Cameron. You gave him the axe, and then the Ravens never looked back that season because they won four playoff games. They won
because Joe
against
Flacco had the greatest, and they actually ESPN rated this the greatest postseason performance by any individual player. They rated Joe Flacco's Super Bowl run because he threw for 11 he threw for more than Joe Montana, I think it was. So he threw for 12 or 13 touchdowns and no interceptions throughout the entire playoffs.
That's right. And not to mention they beat the Indianapolis Colts at home, and then they beat the Patriots in the championship game. They go to Denver, the number one seed, Mile High Miracle, and then they go to New England with one of the toughest places to play in the playoffs with Belichick and Brady, and Flacco takes the proverbial monkey off his back after losing to the Steelers countless times in the playoffs, after losing to the Patriots the year before that. It's just a feel-good story, all around.
And Ray Lewis was supposed to be out for the rest of the season with a torn tricep muscle. And this man I always attribute that win. Ray Lewis basically willed that win to happen.
Wes just said he's happy about our Titans playoff prediction. Possible. But we're not going 100% in depth into predictions yet, but we'll get there.
But Wes, I'm definitely giving your boys respect. Your team and my dad team are going to be one of the two teams that beat me this year. I think both of you guys are going to beat me.
We're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to good games. So that's all we have for tonight. Thanks for joining us, or me, Josh, with Two Birds and a Third Football podcast. Yeah. I'm used to just speaking to myself in the first person, but yeah, Josh is my co-host. We're co-hosts. I'm not just the host.
Hank is.
Josh has. This is a
Hank
democratic
is actually
voting
made
thing.
out of 2 birds and then a third of a person.
Yeah.
That is how Hank works.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of like a weird Pegasus centaur kind of thing. You know,
like a griffin.
Yeah, you're like a hodgepodge of different beasts thrown together. So he is the 2 birds, and then a third of him is human.
Wes just said, "I get all the FaceTime." Me and my double chin.
Well, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, Hank. And once again, it's always a pleasure to talk to you guys. So thank you, everybody, for listening. And we'll send out some updates on Facebook. And Hank, I don't know how you reach out to your YouTube followers, but we'll let you guys know that next time we want to do a little Q&A. So tune on in, and we'll answer questions you guys have.
The next main podcast thing will be the draft. So on Thursday. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start it on here, and then I'm gonna start it on here, and then Josh is gonna come in, and then DJ is gonna come in, and hopefully we'll all get a chance to put our words in on our picks. And what I want to do is I actually want to call out to like the YouTube audience or the Facebook audience. If you want to come and co-host while your team is picking, just give me a ring, and we'll get you, or Josh a ring, and we'll get you on to give your piece for your reaction to your team's pick on Thursday.
Absolutely. We want to hear from you guys. Exactly. You know, we love football just as much as I'm sure all of you guys love football. So
right, and maybe we can get like a schedule or something like that. But
Hank, we're gonna also probably get together for a short little quick one. We're gonna bring you guys some 15-20 minute updates throughout the week. So. Mm-hmm. Here's to talking to you guys next time.
Exactly. All right. See you, everybody. Have a good night.
Bye.
And then OBS.